What's up, guys? Ben here, bringing another video today. As promised, I tweeted out earlier today for some questions. We're doing a little bit of a Q&A. We got some good responses, so let's dive in and give the answers to some of these burning questions that folks submitted. All right, first up, we've got a question from Taylor. Interesting username. The biggest personal hot take. Oh, he's asking me what my biggest personal hot take is, and do you think it's possible to make a Vegas team that's competitive top 8? So I'm not even going to answer that first question because it's open-ended. How do you want me to answer that question? As far as making a Vegas team that's top 8 competitive, absolutely. I think there are about 3 or 4 different combinations of things you can do in order to make a competitive Vegas team. And I think if you're Vegas, I think that chemistry is important and not building what they've done the last couple of seasons of these like funky leftover teams to get going. I thought last year's team was good enough to be top 8, and they were making those placings. They just kind of choked big time at Major 4. So yes, I do think it is possible. We got my guy HBK RIP. Do you miss your old job before you became a full-time content creator? You know, I enjoyed working at Esports Engine. I ended up kind of where I was at the end, was doing a lot of business development, getting contracts approved, budgets approved, making sure things are being kind of executed at a high level. You know, it was fun, but I don't get the same sort of challenge I do now. And I think I kind of enjoyed this life more than I did sort of the old thing. I think things have also changed at Esports Engine since I've left, with Adam leaving and just kind of sort of the merger going on with EFG. But as much as I enjoyed that, I way more enjoy being a content creator right now. All right, keep it moving and grooving. Echo asks, what team besides the Big Four, we're calling them that, sure, NYSL, Ultra, OpTic, and FaZe can make the most, he said moist, but I think he meant most noise and maybe pull off a major win, good run of champs? I think there's an obvious answer, which is Boston. I think the combination of Preston and Slasher brings that experience, and you've got that like gunny firepower sub duo between Capsule and Snoopy. Like if you look at the top 4 teams and you look at like everybody else that's from the roster, there's a big disparity in sub duos, but I think Boston's got potentially the best sub duo of the rest to really get things done in that AR combo, and their ability, I think, to execute S&D at a high level is going to make Boston a very dangerous team this season. All right, we got my friend Alex. Shout out to Alex and I actually worked on OpTic Intel back in the day, so that's a story for another one. If you had to switch focus to another esports game, which one would you choose? Ooh, I'd probably do either Val or CSGO. I've been a big CSGO fan for a long time, and I think that scene's really, really awesome. I'm excited for CS2, and honestly, Valorant's like a pretty cool and fun scene, so probably one of those two. All right, we got the GOAT, Claire. If you don't know who Claire is the GOAT if you are a player or a team in the CDL, making sure that you get to where you need to be on time, getting sorted in the PPAs, etc., etc. Well, she has recently banned me and Tommy from the PPAs, so we'll need to talk about that, Claire. But she asked thoughts, wonder what she argued was the best COD ever, and she's giving me a meme here. This, I don't know if you've seen, there's some Joe Jonas, Sophie Turner breakup going on, and Jacob Hale, I guess, tweeted 6 hours ago, Joe Jonas would frequently argue with Sophie Turner that Modern Warfare 2 was the best COD ever. The source tells TMZ. Well, if Joe Jonas had said that, I would say that he is pretty wrong. All right, next up, we have my guy, Killzoid. What team that's not in the current confirmed roster top 4 do you think could surprise a lot of people this year? So I'm not going to say Boston, because I think a lot of people agree that Boston's kind of going to get in that conversation. I think of sort of the built rosters currently. I think Thieves, to me, has the best chance to really crack in the top 4. My only concern with LA Thieves is sort of S&D, with sort of the combination of players, but I really like sort of the thought process they have going on there with their composition, and I think their respawn could actually be pretty good. It's just going to be the S&D, I think, is going to be a work in progress with them. All right, we got my guy Breaking Point, Drew. If you're not following him for all news and intel, make sure you do. What's the best possible roster that either LAG, CAR, dude, the CAR thing is going to take a while for me to, it doesn't hit as good as LRR, I'll tell you that. Or LVL, so basically saying LAG, the Carolina Royal Ravens, and Las Vegas Legion, is signed based on available free agents. In his opinion, it's Clay attached, Nero, and Sandy. So I would actually make a slight tweak to that. I think you want to pair Eli with probably someone like Asim over Nero, but I like sort of the Clay attached, Asim, Sandy trio, because there's a lot of, I think, leadership there and ability to kind of navigate sort of the ins and out of a season. I would just like looking at some of the other compositions of ARs. I kind of like that. So I think that's kind of the best possible option that kind of gets you a kind of a higher floor than maybe some other teams that might have a higher ceiling. You're taking some more crack challengers players, but the floor could be like top 12. We only got a few left here. Sam the 15th, the 16th. I don't know. I don't know Roman numerals. I assume that's Sam the 16th. Anyway, do you think ABK's homestand model is officially dead now? As a UK football fan, I always hope for it and the rocker experiment went well. You have a preferred league structure, weekly matches, majors only, open bracket. Okay, so 2 questions here. Homestand model. Well, I think it was dead after year 1 because they were going to try and do that sort of big world tour weekly thing, and it just didn't work out, or was never really going to work out. And they've kind of pivoted now to sort of you have teams like hosting a major. So it's been dead for years. As far as the preferred league structure, if we're talking about the CDL moving to something else, I would say to me, looking at like what Halo does, would make a lot of sense for the Call of Duty world. As far as LAN events go, you have these big kind of funnel majors. The pro teams get into group stage, open teams feed into group stage from open bracket, and then you have a winners or sort of the championship bracket. It makes a lot of sense. It's easy to follow, yada, yada, yada. And then for the online stuff, just do the event format online, and you can kind of stagger it where open bracket happens a couple days before, and then you fill the group stage. But regardless, I think that like simplifies everything, makes it easy to understand, and I think gives people the most fair competition. We got my guy Toxics here. IMO, I think NYSL takes another leap this year. I think they're going to be a top 3 team all along. FaZe versus NYSL champs, grand final MW3. Here's what I'll say about New York. I do think from a skill situation, Sib is an upgrade over Priesta. But as far as like dirty work, that's still kind of a question now. Because Bryson did a lot for the team that someone's going to have to pick up the slack on now. And S&D with Dante, I think, is still a little bit of a question mark. But I like to move from New York from a skill standpoint. Let's see what they can do to continue on from their massively amazing. I don't even think that's a phrase you could say. They're great season this year with champs win in the bag. Flying High asks who most improved their stock last season going into this offseason. I mean, I think there's a couple of obvious ones and maybe some that aren't obvious. I think Dan Ghosty definitely improved his stock a lot from the beginning of the season. I think Abuza improved his stock a lot from the beginning of the season. I'm not really counting anyone on Thieves because they just won a world championship. Everybody thinks they're good. Maybe a sort of low-key one is Capsule, because I think Cap became sort of a very in-demand sub player once sort of things started to sort of shift in roster mania. I think that Capsule's got a big opportunity on Boston to really like cement himself as a top sub, like top flex, really a talented young player. I think there's a lot there, so I think he improved his stock for sure this offseason. Esports Opinion asks, who are your favorite CDL players to watch? I think there's probably like 4 to 5 players. I love watching Hydra play. I love watching Abizi play. I love watching Shotzi play. I think for as far as like the 3 subs, I think I have like the best POVs. And that's not to say that other players aren't good. I think as far as POVs, those are most fun to watch. As far as ARs go, I mean, what MC does, what Celium does on the map, what Dashy does on the map, what Scrappy does on the map, I think those 3 AR/flexes are like really good POVs. So those 6, I think, is a good place to start in terms of like people's POVs that are sort of different from your average player. Only 2 questions left. First one from Skylar Cassidy. Do you see a team picking up someone like Pierce, aka Gunless, or would you see teams going for someone younger from the challenger scene? If Gunless does get picked up, where would be a good fit for him? I mean, I think Pierce can slot into any one of these potential rosters from Vegas to LAG to Carolina. I think Pierce brings a lot from a leadership standpoint. I think he can definitely fry at that sort of flex position. People are always going to try and pick up challengers players that are young, but I do think at the moment, sort of young challengers bench is a little empty at the moment, especially at sort of the sub and the flex position. I think there are a bunch of mini Rs who I think are very good in challengers. So I do think that Pierce has a good chance of getting picked up. And I'm curious as we start to get roster rumors for Carolina, for LAG, and for Vegas. I'm curious to see if he makes any of those squads. And our last question will be from Remix. Who do you think will improve the most next season? So I'm not sure if he means teams or players. I think players is, for me, I said it earlier, I think Capsule has an opportunity to really improve. I think Cammy and Afro have a potentially very good platform to improve on their performances last year, because I think the Rocker year was not a great year for them. I think really anyone actually on LA Thieves, because I think Joe Deceives had a pretty solid season at LAG, and now he's going to get into a little bit of a better squad. People can kind of see more where he's at. The Seattle guys, the rumored kind of duo of Alec and Illy, that's an opportunity for people that can potentially improve. So I think that squad, like everybody on the top team does not, like someone like Sim could obviously play a little bit better than last year, but he's still a top player. I think we're looking at players on some of the lower teams, and the ones I named, I think have an opportunity to really be like the most improved player this season. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. Shout out to everybody that submitted these questions. Again, we like to do these sort of every couple of weeks. So if you missed out on this one, don't worry. I'll probably tweet out at some point before COD next, and we'll do another round of Q&A. So let me know what you thought of the video. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. And as always, guys, we will see you on the next one.